Well, Daniel, you raise an interesting question, and that this question has many, many facets to it. Um, but I'm glad that you asked in the sense of friendship. Normally, throughout all of history, humans have collected together with things that they had in common, either family or work or something like that. And yet, when individuals find Dhamma on the internet, they begin to understand or even a longing to find other Dhamma dudes, other wayfarers. And that, in fact, the more dedicated or understanding of the noble path, then the more that's true. To where if the practitioner of meditation, it's quite easy to fall into being competitive. I know more than the other guy knows. I've got more suttas under my belt. This is one of the dangers that we have to get past. So, and we wind up finding a brotherhood. And this is true at the small scale and at the large scale. In fact, at the large scale, this is the entire Buddha Sangha, which is enormous. Even in Thailand alone, it's somewhere between 200 and 600,000, depending upon the time of year and which year it is. But you could say in general about 400,000 monks out of 70 million. So we're talking something slightly under 1%, about a half percent. Um, and it's major. It's the major thing. And one of the most important qualities to it in Thailand is generally at the local temple, the monks who are beginner monks go in to start living with their elder uncles simply because of the village quality of it. Just think about it. I mean, we're related to everybody anyway, so it's all in the family. And so there's that family connection of long term, but now the child's got a new frame of reference. And the frame of reference is to live the way that the child lives and go to the temple once in a while. And to now we're in the temple and we're really living with and like the uncles live. And so that's quite natural in Thailand. In the West, not so natural. Now, in the way that it would likely be, there are several words that we can use, and one of them, besides the Sangha or the Brotherhood, is the word Kaliya Metta, which is used is the same word as metta, and in this regard, metta means friendliness, friendship. So Kaliya Metta has to do with being in the company of good friends, being in the company of nobles. Now, it's very easy to be seen which what's more likely to happen. If you're standing in a group of people, let's say a group of men, five, six, 10, and there's two different groups. One's doing one thing and the other one is doing something else. What's most likely for the new person to do? All right, here's an example. One group is smoking marijuana as a group, and the other group over there, way over there, are all drinking alcohol. If you go and join that group of alcohol users, are you going to most likely, more than likely, you're going to be accepting their invitation to drink with them? And if you're over with the pot smokers, you're more likely going to go over and when you join them, when they invite you to have a toke, is that it? Then you'll go along with that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, this is under the rubric of uh, birds of a feather flock together.
Yep.
Even a band of misfits, they come together with the one thing they have in common is they don't fit in anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is an important quality. It's human. It's actually way down there to the level of instincts. So, on the other hand, let's look at it from the position of a crowd that you hang out with. And one crowd that you hang out with tend to be very happy, and the other crowd you hang out with tend to be very greedy. They're either businessmen or maybe bank robbers, maybe in jail, versus a group of, let us say, hippies that are living in the woods together. Are you more likely to live like the hippies and feel like the hippies, or the ones who are plotting together to rob a bank? In fact, it's quite likely that you're going to start accepting not only the idea that I'm a bank robber, but then you start taking on the persona of a bank robber, and you've got that persona of the bank robber right in front of you as an example.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's turn that on its head. Now you're in a band of nobles. Now you're around a group of guys who understand the path and are on the path and are willing, happily willing, to admit what they've done wrong and to enjoy each other's company without competition, just enjoying each other's company and hanging out, often with not much to say to each other because the only thing there is to do is to speak Dhamma, and we all know it already anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of what they call hang out together.
Uh-huh.
Right, so now the question for you would be, which group of people would you rather hang out with?
The hippies?
Well, they're almost Dhamma dudes. I would choose the nobles.
Okay, yeah. Well,
But
when you
yeah,
say no, when you
hanging
say
out with hippies
nobles,
is not a bad idea. I might want to change my mind. Let me think about that.
well, what are nobles? When you say nobles, what does that mean?
The Buddha was noble.
Okay, so
Sarah was noble.
it's not a distinction of royalty or anything like that.
Oh no, I thought you knew how I was using the word noble. It's the same word. In fact, the actual Pali word that we look at, we snicker because that Pali word is Aryan, and we know what Hitler did with the word Aryan.
Yeah.
Well, the Buddha is using the word Aryan in a completely different way, and so we translate it as noble in the sense of a noble opinion, a noble gait,
Yeah, okay.
being a lion. In Eric Burns' literature of I'm okay, you're okay, then we come out of our position of being a victim
Uh-huh.
and we become okay. And in fact, the high state of okay is that not only am I okay, but everybody else around me is okay.
Okay.
Because all I see when I see them is I see them suffering, and I know what that's like.
So the book that you're talking about, Eric Burns,
Uh huh.
you've mentioned that before, but is that something worth reading? I just asked because you've mentioned him before. You've mentioned that book before.
Uh, Actually, no, the book is not worth reading uh, for several reasons, and one of it is that it's a hard slog through a concept that is easily grasped when you look at it. All right. Now, there was another psychologist at that time, in those times. His name was Fritz Perls, and he had a system called Gestalt, and that he would arrange it so that the client would sit beside an empty chair and have a dialogue with the people that they were having misery with in their lives to try to get some clarity.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever heard of that called Gestalt?
No.
using an empty chair. Part of the quality of that
Oh,
was,
I have
oh,
actually. Yeah, I've seen it
nice.
on something. Yeah.
Always been made fun of. I'm sure that they've had half a dozen Simpsons and maybe a South Park or two.
Uh huh. Oh, sorry.
So the reason I'm bringing up Fritz Perls is because he had the quality of top dog, underdog.
Okay.
And they were looking at it, both he and Eric Byrne, from a transactional position, but eventually Byrne caught on to the fact that this is not a transactional position that you take. It's actually an existential life position that we assume so that we know what roles to play.
Mm-hmm.
All right. If that's the case, then Sam Harris may be right when he says there's no such thing as free will, because we don't transactionally, in fact, take on the victim's position or the I'm not okay position. That we do it because it's kind of the built in program.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm? Well, when you look at the way that children are raised, in fact, just being born is being a victim. Well, I remember it. Wow, was I a victim. I remember there I was, all warm and cuddly, and everything was interesting. And the next thing you know, the bottom dropped out, the earthquake happened. The next thing I know, Dr. Young's got me healed by the heels in the air, and he beat my butt. I let out a yell, and I didn't shut up until I was 35 years old. And that was at Watson and Moke. Until then, I was a number one complainer. We are victims by our birth. We are victims by not having motor skills. We are victims because we are thrown into a very complex society without the knowledge of how to deal with it. We are
Mm-hmm.
victims to our parents. We are victims to our parents' victimhood. We become victims like them. And everybody is a victim in this society. And very, very few people wind up getting to the position that I'm okay. But by doing so, we normally flip things around. Now, what I mean by flipping around is that normally the victim's position is I'm not okay, but you are.
Mm-hmm.
You're okay. I'm not okay, but you're okay. All right? Now, excuse me. When speaking to Jesus, I'm not okay, he's okay. Oh, please, Jesus, come help me. Let me
Mm-hmm.
perform some ritual like taking a bath in dirty water with my clothes on and then voting for Donald Trump, and may I be saved, please. Sorry, is
Mm-hmm.
that the way baptism operates? I think. Not sure about the voting Donald Trump part, but you get what I mean. It's all a ritual, and the ritual is built around the fact that I'm not okay, but something else is. All right. But what happens is with the bully rising out of the not okay position, he's still in a position of I'm not okay, but I'm going to try to make the rest of the world not okay too, so that I can bully the rest of the world as not okay.
Mm-hmm.
But the right way to do it, the noble way to do it, is that both the world as we see it is full of dukkha as well as my own mind. Therefore, we are both rising out of that stupid position of not okay into the noble position of I'm okay and you're okay. I'm okay and the entire world is okay. It's not there for me to exploit, it's there for me to enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is basically what Eric Byrne is teaching, but I've added a little Buddhist spice in there. But this is the basic thing. So this is why one becomes a lion, is because we're taking full on responsibility for ourselves. We're actually coming out of the position of I'm not okay, which also is part of the blame game. And that my favorite in that regard is the church lady. the one who's looking down her nose at the people who don't attend often and other positions like this. Basically, it's the position of the hypocrite who is overly burdened by the number of rules, laws, and regulations that their own religion has, and so they cut themselves a break, and then they want to make those laws, rules, rituals, and things the job of other people to do, and it's my job now to criticize whether they're doing a good job or not. The strongest example of that is right to lifers wanting to change the laws so that they can tell women they don't know what they can do with their bodies. But that's not the only example by any stretch of the imagination. And what we do is we play the blame game. It's their fault because they're not taking the rules that I say that they should abide by when we don't abide by them ourselves. To where with Buddhism, we never want to take that position. We always want to maintain this is the issue between am I okay or am I not okay? And if I'm not okay, it's my job to change my attitude because that's all it is. It's changing anyway. It's just an attitude. From the loser's attitude or the victim's attitude into right, noble, can-do attitude. One that takes responsibility. As an example of that, by the way, going back to the dog, how the dog smells is up to you. To like or not.
Yeah, okay.
All right? And there's some things you can do. You can give the dog a bath that the dog enjoys having.
He just had a bath. It doesn't help.
It doesn't help. Okay, you could perfume the dog. He might like it.
I don't know. I don't have perfume.
7-Eleven can't be that far away. Get some cheap stuff.
I feel like it'd be like covering over BO with perfume or something. I feel like it would just.
Hey, we have been doing that as a society for literally tens of thousands of years.
I feel like
you have obviously not been to the Middle East.
It'd be a mix of bad and good smells. I feel like
only when you don't put out enough perfume. Only when you don't put out enough perfume. When you put enough of it on. And yes, Middle East, Africa, India, not so much in Southeast Asia, but here too also. Yes, odors are used to cover up body odor in big time in Asia. And I'm sure that you could do that with the dog too. But the other thing that you can do is you can take the hint or the sniff of the dog, especially around the face, and just take in what you smell as if it was just that's what it is. It's okay. It really is okay. Then in fact pretty soon you'll begin to enjoy the odor of a dog. They do. They really love it.
Yeah. We'll see.
It's kind of an earthy smell.
Yeah, it's like a yeasty smell for him.
Yeast. I'm not sure what yeast would smell like. I think it smells acidic.
Yeah. I wish it was possible to transmit on Skype a smell.
We have worked with Snell-O-Vision over the years, and I can declare as an engineer on the project, we are failures.
Yeah.
No Snell-O-Vision, not now, and I assume not ever.
Yeah.
Because we don't have the machine to generate the wide variety of complex molecules. It's just out of our range of reference with... I mean, we can barely tell what's in there, like doing a blood sample. Getting a computer to do a blood sample, now that's special. But
Mm-hmm.
then being able to reproduce all of that stuff and put it back out on the other side of with our own blood, and then also, by the way, we're going to do every odor that a dog can smell too. That's beyond our science right now.
Yeah.
Inkjet printers for dog food.
Mm-hmm.
And we also have 10,000 different varieties of poop, each one with its own different, unique, foul smell. Do you want to build such a machine? Up to you.
Yuck.
So, where were we?
Poop, I think.
No, way before that. That was before we got back on the dog. We were going someplace.
You're talking about burns and this
Yes,
other. Yeah.
precisely. Right. Uh-huh. You can see actually that one up, one down position with dogs. In fact, I think it was because of dogs that Fritz Perls got the idea of the interactions that people have is basically the top dog, the bottom dog. You can see it with the way that their hair is on their back, how much they're wagging their tail, all kinds of things, because we get neighbors' dogs, or maybe not neighbors, just dogs, come into the yard all the time. And with two females who are in cahoots with each other, they really manage things very well around here. They don't have any trouble at all. But watching the body language between the three dogs is quite amazing. And there's a lot of language there. And which one is top dog and bottom dog? Actually, both of these are going to, they kind of sometimes play good cop, bad cop.
Mm-hmm.
But they wind up being top dog every time. So, the whole idea about it is there's several things. One of them is that there is a sutta called the horn, and the Pali word for the horn is an acronym for the one-horned rhinoceros.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a long sutta, but it always has that same refrain, walk alone and be like a rhinoceros. Well, a rhinoceros is really powerful. This sutta did not say creep around like a mouse.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And that the Buddha was well known to be a lion. There's ideas of lion roar. In fact, Shambhala changed their name to the lion's roar. And there's numbers of suttas, including two of them, one after another, in the Majjhima Nikaya, the Chula Sangha and the Mahasangha, and the lion's roar. And in there, in fact, in the big one, number 12, it lists 10 items that that the Tathagata has, and that the first two have to do about seeing the way things are right now, especially in the sense that karma does not have a gap, that karma only works with a cause-effect relationship.
Mm-hmm.
An example is an action that you take today does not have to wait 300 years before the benefit of that action. That it's immediate. There's an immediate result.
Mm-hmm.
And that this is one of the qualities of the lion, is to see the cause-effect relationships of things.
Mm-hmm.
To see the wisdom involved with, to recognize what's going on. Basically to put two and two together.
Yeah.
But the quality that we're looking for is the quality of a winner. And so I'm putting these qualities that I'm finding in Buddhism and putting them back and marrying them with the psychology from those psychologists who have figured the same thing out in their own language. So Fritz Perls with Top Dog Underdog, with Eric Byrne with the OK Corral, I'm okay, you're okay, and the transformation from being an ordinary person into becoming a noble is exactly the same thing. You could go so far as to call it growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Because no matter what age we are, we still remain kind of as children in the sense of looking for a daddy. We look for a daddy in religion. We look for a daddy in government. We look for a daddy in employers. We're always looking for a daddy to take care of us because we don't feel secure, tough, strong, durable, willing to roar, willing to get up when we fall down, etc. And so that change of attitude is like the same thing as growing up.
Mm-hmm.
But I like one better, and that is growing human. Why do I say it like that? Is because mostly what we do as humans is we live instinctually. And we're instinctually, um, victims. We're instinctually victims for several reasons. One, we've been training ourselves as victims for thousands of years. It's built right down into our DNA, and as soon as we're born, it's proven to us over and over again that we're victims, that we're subject to the outside world in ways that we can't control.
Mm-hmm.
And so we become dependent upon society. But a lion not only has given up his dependence, but with his willingness to take on responsibility, now he can become responsible for others in several ways. One is to help people come out of suffering right here and right now, and another way is helping them come out of suffering really for the long term.
Mm-hmm.
And so the way to practice that is, have you ever heard of the Brahma Viharas? Mudita, Karuna, Metta, Upekkha?
Metta.
Metta. Friendliness, happiness, joyfulness,
Mm-hmm.
but mostly friendliness. Karuna is compassion.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
Mudita is sympathetic joy. But how we do that is we actually practice sympathetic joy when someone wants to give us anger, suffering, grief, or whatever. We can feel free to return joy to them instead.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of shake up the musical synchronicity.
Okay.
Change the wavelength. But you can't do that unless you've got the ability to do it. That's the skill that's growing inside, your ability to be joyful and happy. And I'm asking you to do that with that dog, to practice this very skill that we're talking about, mudita.
No, I like the dog a lot. He's just a little smelly, but okay.
Enjoy the smell. It's delicious aroma. Very earthy. I see your expression. It depends upon which end of the dog you sniff first.
It's all the same. This dog is all the same.
All right. Well, let me ask you this. Do you have any questions about your practice? Or did I leave you with an assignment or anything?
Yeah, so, well, a couple of things, I guess. So last time we talked, because last time we talked, I had mentioned that I had gotten back from this
Goenka retreat. Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah. And it's the first time that we explicitly talked about, I guess that's not quite true, but we talked explicitly about dukkha, I guess. maybe for the first time using that language. And you told me to become more aware of it in the sense that I guess the chains of dependent origination, how they lead to dukkha from the first contact to, the first contact to the Vedana, to the I want it, to the I need it, to the dukkha.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I've been doing that. So I've integrated it into my mindfulness bell routine.
Excellent. Excellent.
So what I do now is the bell goes off and I become aware of the body, and at the same time I become aware of whether I can sense any obvious dukkha. So for me, I'm sure that one gets more refined at this, but at the moment, dukkha to me is just if there's like a negative emotion present, or if my mind is doing something that isn't pleasant. So if that's the case, and if I can detect something pretty obvious like that, then I take a deep breath and I try to understand what is being clinged. I don't know the past tense. What is being clinged to? And I
have been clinging will work.
So say that again.
Have been clinging.
So what I have been clinging to. And then I make an effort to quit it, to stop clinging on to it. And then, I forgot the first one is I first say to myself, this is dukkha, which is actually pretty helpful. You had mentioned that. And that's actually helpful just to orient myself to think about it explicitly in those terms. Anyway, so I do that. I try to stop the clinging, and then I might take another deep breath. And that usually does the trick. If when the bell goes off, and I say the bell just to make it like a concrete thing, but I do this anytime I realize it also.
Yes.
But I'm just saying the bell because it's a concrete thing. So then
let's call it sati, either
okay,
machine oriented or natural.
Yeah. So if when I check in or when I remember or if
when
there
you wake up is another way of saying it.
I like that one. So I'll use that one. If when I wake up, I've been thinking about it that explicit way too, because that's exactly what it feels like. If when I wake up from an alarm clock or otherwise, and there isn't any discernible dukkha, I still do the body awareness, but this time I just kind of become conscious of the likes or dislikes of my current situation. No, I don't label it, but I just kind of become aware. So like, for instance, right now, there's tiredness. That's unpleasant. My left eye, there's like a little air bubble in it. I'm under the covers. That is pleasant, that kind of thing. But I don't like verbalize it, but I just become aware of it.
Okay. All right. That's right. We don't have to do a lot of labeling. In fact, the more labeling we do, the less awareness we actually have. The labeling stuff too strongly actually takes away from our ability to notice.
Yeah. So that's what I do. And what's new in this routine is basically the explicit. I mean, obviously it's the second and third noble truths, I guess, which is, and first, because I'm explicitly well, you told me not to label, but
Yes.
I'm labeling it as dukkha because, well, that's helpful for me anyway, because it's helpful thinking about a bunch of different experiences as kind of the same thing. That's helpful for me. I mean, I guess the way I view a lot of the Dharma is basically you have all these various things that can be collapsed at different
Dan,
levels.
do you realize that I'm in a rainstorm right now?
It, it looks like it's bright out, so it doesn't seem that way, but I take your word for it.
High winds, you can see it, things moving.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I love rain. Well, your audio is very good, though. It's canceled out the sound.
Yes, it's this new microphone. The other one in the laptop has a lot more ambient sounds in it. So anyway, continue on.
Yeah, anyway, so that's the add-on that we talked about last time, was explicitly thinking in terms of the Four Noble Truths. So basically, I had been doing the body awareness, which has gotten better. I still could improve at the hand thing, but um, but I'd say overall, much more frequently, I become aware of body sensations, like much more frequently. I do it during conversations. Um, I do it. Yeah, I do it. I just do it more automatically now. Um, so that's definitely been a change. And yeah, so like I said, I'm now trying to incorporate the Four Noble Truths, the idea of identifying dukkha and basically remedying it based on the release of the clinging or the craving or
Hmm.
the tanha. So
Have you spent any time with the third noble truth? Because you need to start spending some time with
yes,
when you do that inventory, when you
the
do the
gladness.
wake up, you can say, "Oh, and this one's a nice moment. This one's good. This one's no problem. No place to go, nothing to do. Very nice." Ah, ha, ha.
To be honest, I haven't been doing that lately, but I was doing that before, and I actually really enjoyed doing that. So I should get back to that. I should I should tack that back on.
That third noble truth is a real doozy, but it takes some practice.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess it kind of goes in with the second one because the second one is that yearning for things causes dukkha. So when you're releasing the yearning for things, it's kind of the same thing as accepting the current moment, right?
Mm, yes.
Yeah, so yeah, it's worked out very well with my meditation practice. Well, I mean, I know you don't like calling it that. My sitting meditation practice. They
I don't care what you. I call it Dhamma.
yeah, but
Dhamma
anyway,
practice.
yeah, no, there's some nice synergy that's clearly going on between the two. So that's really good to see. I yeah, I've been things have been going well. I think I'm clearly improving. Um, a big part of that is the daily practices for sure.
Hmm.
When I get that damn hand thing, though, I'll tell you.
All right, all right. Well, there's the time to practice it is when the um, electronic alarm goes off, or whenever you think about it. But I think that what you're doing is that you're giving yourself a hard time when you're not actually watching the hands. That you
Okay.
want to get better at it. And it would be preferable for you to enjoy the time when you are watching your hands so that you really like it.
Yeah.
You see, um, I guess it's about the same as the carrot or the stick. You've heard about that. So the
Hmm.
carrot is that I'm doing this because I like doing it.
Yeah.
And the stick is that, oh, I'm doing something wrong when I'm not doing it, and I have to watch out for that stick.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there's the other side of that coin, and that is that I've got a carrot and I'm looking for a place to stick it.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, you said something like that last time, and I'm sure that that's true. I just I'm trying to explicitly be happy every time I come back to the moment, but I have to practice that more for sure because yeah, that was the thing that made the difference in my sitting meditation was when I started being happy when I'd realized that I was mind wandering, and magically I started mind wandering less and less. So I'm sure it's the exact same thing basically.
He's exactly the same thing. The
Yeah.
Dhamma is actually quite small. It looks vast, and in some ways it is vast because more than this, but does cover 45 years of the Buddha's life. And so, in that regard alone, it's vast. But the actual teaching, the root teaching, can be boiled down to something very small. And the more you understand it, the tighter the little ball can be, right down to just the Four Noble Truths. You've got it. But that's a really, really heavy, dense ball. It's almost like a neutron star by then. And then you can boil it down even deeper than that, down to just a couple of words. And in fact, you could go so far as to put it down to just one word. With three words, it would be dukkha, dukkha nirodha, or the melting of dukkha. All right,
Yeah.
let it melt out. And then the next one would be the word path,
Hmm. Yeah.
or just dhamma. That would be the one-word answer. I like the four-word answer. Don't worry, be happy. While that's not in any sutra that I know of in that phrase, I can point to don't worry all over the place, including hindrance. And be happy, that's also all over the place.
Yeah, what I find myself doing is, I mean, it's the second noble truth, but I phrase it as like, just let it go, basically.
Yeah,
And
we
that,
went over that in great detail last time.
yeah, but I mean, that's basically the second noble truth completely, right? And
Yeah,
that
late,
phrase,
late. Because the late, what I mean
yeah,
by
no, no,
late
no,
is
no,
the
no, no,
letting
no, yeah,
go
yeah, yeah,
because
yeah, no,
we're
no,
already
yeah,
grasped, and then we have to let go.
yeah, absolutely. I find that I say it even before, even if it's just the Vedana, if I anticipate the Vedana is gonna grow, I just say that to myself and then it doesn't grow.
Good, good,
so
good.
so I
Excellent.
use
Thought
that phrase at all the points. But yeah, that's what I've been doing. Yeah, it's clear that I've got some more work to do, but it's also clear that I've made progress. So I'm pretty happy with the current situation.
excellent. Well, I tell you what, due to the rain and the wind, I'm going to sort of tuck this short so that
Okay.
I can go into the house.
Okay.
The goosebumps are becoming temperature oriented.
Okay.
And so I'm going to let you go now.
All right.
All right. But I'm really glad that you called. Hope to hear from you again soon.
Yep.
And we'll talk more about this letting go, letting go.
Yep.
In fact, the English language word that you could use for that would be the word relinquishment,
Mm-hmm.
which has absolute, in fact, more popular or up to date language would be let it go or let go. In the Pali, the word is uh, atam mayata. A means not, tam means do, and maya means the world or dukkha, or in fact, the maya is used in the sense of Maya and his three daughters, which are the cause of suffering. So Maya and suffering are deeply related, but it also has the word for world and it has the word for devil and suffering in general. So Ata Mayata means I ain't going to mess with that stuff anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Not going to mess with it anymore, which has that quality of letting go. But this is actually a kind of a ferocious demand. Ata Mayata, out of here. I'm finished with that stuff.
Uh-huh. Sounds good.
All right. So, let go. We'll see you.
All right. Sounds good. What's up?
I was waiting for you to close out.
Okay. Well, bye-bye.
Bye.